You missed them overall, our federal politicians? Beginning today, you're going to get your fix, and then some. A new session of Parliament kicks off with the throne speech. Mark Dunn is live on Parliament Hill with everything you need to know about that. Here's what else is on your AM agenda. Trudeau talks smack. Does the Liberal leader really support prescribing heroin to BC addicts? We're going to find out. Clock's a-ticking. U.S. lawmakers had a deal ahead of tomorrow's default deadline. Now they don't. We're going to have the latest 11th hour negotiations. Line 9 under review. National Energy Board hearings on reversing the flow of Line 9 pipeline come to Toronto. You could really hear it an hour ago. The Parliament was buzzing as the politicians got back to business. Starting things off, though, was a speech from the throne, expected, presumably, to shift the focus away from spending scandals and the Senate and those kinds of things to consumer issues. Senior parliamentary correspondent Mark Dunn joins us live from the foyer of the House of Commons in Ottawa with the latest ahead of that throne speech. Mark, what do you expect?
They're back, Pat. School's in session. MPs and senators have flooded the hallways of Parliament Hill right now. The various caucuses, the Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP, are all meeting behind closed doors to discuss strategy. If you're the opposition, of course, you're going to discuss and work on your attack lines. Who are going to be your point people to respond to the speech from the throne? And of course, the Conservatives are probably sharing some of the contents of that speech, which will be heard live at 5 o'clock on this network with their caucus. And of course, the thrust, the theme, if you will, this is all about jobs and economic security. This is the theme that the government has been pounding away for the last many years right now. But there's going to be some baubles as the Conservatives, I think, try to win the minds and hearts of those Canadians who are vacillating between the various parties in the 905 belt, for instance, the undecideds, and that's by offering things like maybe some changes to the interest rates we pay on credit cards, pick and pay television channels, airline passenger bill of rights. We've all been on flights, or many of us have, where we've been bumped, and of course the major airlines just leave us standing there without any compensation. They're going to address that. And of course, another huge issue for Canadians is when we go to a bookstore or an appliance store and we buy a product, we look at the price of this product, we see the same product in the United States and it's 15 to 35% cheaper. I think the government wants to address that by making changes to the Competition Act. So it's all going to be about the jobs, it's all about the economy. The Conservatives want to portray themselves as the shiny white knight coming to the rescue of frazzled consumers, and of course they want to sort of steal some stuff from the NDP, because the NDP have talked about consumer-friendly initiatives before, and of course the Liberals always talking about the middle class but not really putting any policy in the window. So I think the Conservatives want to convince Canadians, especially during these very uncertain economic times, especially with some of the shenanigans going on in Washington that could have a huge impact on the global economy, including dragging the Canadian economy right down with it. The fragile Canadian economy still recovering from the 2008-2009 meltdown. I think the Conservatives want to reassure Canadians that they're the best managers of the public purse.
Yeah, and that fiscal prudence will shine through. But other than the grab bag of consumer stuff, will there be things on the environment, First Nations, and other pressing issues?
Without a doubt. I think you'll see a lot of language on the Aboriginal file, especially in light with the special rapporteur who was here yesterday and said, of course, it's a crisis situation in this country, something the Conservatives have conceded already as they move forward on land claims deals and resource development with Aboriginals. I think you're going to see stuff on rail safety, for instance, because of the tragedy in the Eastern Township community in Quebec, Lake Megantic, where that train barreled into that community and killed dozens of people. I think you'll probably hear talk of some buzz, maybe you hear some talk about some free trade stuff. Canada's in the middle of negotiations right now with the European Union. This is a key trading partner. Canada wants to ink a deal as quickly as possible, and other deals around the world, to basically wean ourselves off our dependency on the U.S. economy. So I think you're going to see a lot of other mom and pop issues and some of the big broader issues related to the environment, Aboriginals, and those sort of things.
Okay, Mark. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's get to our web poll. As Governor General ushers in a new session of Parliament Wednesday with the speech from the throne, what party would have your vote if an election were held tomorrow? Go to sunnewsnetwork.ca and cast your vote. Conservative, NDP, Liberal, or other. And of course, we're your home for politics. We got extensive coverage of today's speech from the throne. David Akin begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have the ceremony of the Governor General David Johnson's speech in the Senate chamber, all live